Members, the chair recognizes Mr. Tinderholt to address the House regarding his retirement.
Yes, I'm retiring.
No, you're not. From here.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The 89th legislative session marks my 6th session in this chamber representing House District 94. There have been ups, there's been downs, amendments, points of order, disagreements, and achievements. It's been one of the highlights of my life. Oftentimes, people forget the sacrifice of serving in the legislature. It's been a job that has to be done by somebody, and I'm honored to have done it. I've dedicated 32 years of my life to public service. 11 in the Air Force, taking part in counter-drug missions throughout South and Central America, and then after 9/11, I served for 10 years in the Army as a platoon leader, executive officer, detachment commander, recruiting commander, and then I kept volunteering to deploy to combat zones. Arguably, my 12 years here has been one of the more difficult combat zones I've had the pleasure of serving in. 2 years ago, I decided I'd run again for a 6th term, hoping I was going to be coming back with friends. I'm proud to say my hopes came true, and I was joined by the most conservative group of freshman legislators this body's ever seen. I returned to this chamber with one goal: accomplishing as much conservative policy as possible while humbly evaluating if it was time to go home and let others continue this vital fight for the conservative movement. We've accomplished a lot in 6 sessions, but there's still more work to be done. While more Texas GOP priorities passed this session than previously had, there were still missed opportunities and so much left to do, just like both sides have said every session. To my Democrat colleagues, I hope you know that I've always tried to treat you with respect that you deserve as members of this body who are chosen by your districts to fight for the values you hold. To the Republican colleagues I say sometimes, oftentimes disagreed with, please know that my absence next session will not remove in any way the pressure to deliver real conservative results for the people of Texas. And though we've disagreed at times, I've been truly honored to serve alongside each of you. To the conservative freshmen that worked so hard to be here, you're equipped, eager, and dedicated to ensuring the passage of the Texas GOP legislative priorities for the future sessions to come. Texas is in good hands with each of you, and it's time for me to step aside.
Love you, buddy.
This is the hard part. To my wonderful wife, Bethany, and my children, Tyler and Brennan, I'm coming home. I get to be a dad. I don't have to miss practices and dances. I'm going to be able to do prayer at dinner time with you instead of on Facebook or FaceTime. Bedtime books. And so this was the hardest paragraph for me because this is why I'm leaving. And I would have one more paragraph, but I would tell my peers, I want to come here and be the tough guy, but we're all human. And we all have family. And I encourage you guys to think about the sacrifices that you make here, because God wants me to be a husband and a dad right now. And I'm going to miss this place so much. But it makes it easier knowing that I'm going to do the things that I think God wants me to do and that my wife needs me to do and my children need. So while I'm sad to go and I'm very emotional about it, I want to share with my peers that if you're ever thinking about this and you're having a hard time with it, I would tell you, pick family first, because someone else is going to come do this and they're going to do it well. Members, as my role in this chamber is coming to an end, I do intend to finish this entire term, so I have another 19 months. So if we have a special session, we'll be here again. I hope you recognize that each of the decisions you make will affect me and my family when I'm gone. My prayer is that this chamber recognizes all that Texas needs from you and that you never take for granted the immense honor and responsibility that comes with serving in the Texas House. Thank you to my family, and thank the members, and thank to the speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Plessa, for what purpose?
may we ask that the address by Representative Tinderholt be reduced to writing and placed in the journal?
Members, you've heard the motion. Is there objection to the adoption of the motion? Chair is none, so ordered.
Thank you,
Chair recognizes Mr. Toth.
Tony, I just want to extend my gratitude to you for the leader that you've been and the group of leaders that you've raised up. And I'll draw from you and Schaefer, combat veterans, that there is no more difficult place to maintain your character and integrity and courage than this house. And someone once said, you don't really know the flavor of tea until you drop it in hot water, and this is the most scalding hot water you'll ever be dropped in. Is that true? It is. But you've always done it with kindness and gratitude, with a great spirit. You've never discontinued to fight. You've fought hard through this entire session, a session where we really should have yielded more for our constituents. But what we did yield, we did it because of your leadership. And the new group of freshmen that we have coming in after you are going to serve Texas well. God bless you, buddy. Godspeed.
The chair recognizes Mr. Schatzline.
Tony, the first vote I ever took in this chamber was to vote for you to be speaker. And we were only 73 votes away. We were so close. I am so immensely proud to be your friend. I think for the body to hear what you see is Tony fighting every day for conservative values, and it's honorable. You're a champion. You're a champion for the state of Texas. But what you don't know is the first questions that Tony asked me was, have you called your wife today? And how have you called and FaceTimed your kids today? And the last question you asked me yesterday, was have you called your wife? And have you reached out to your kids? It's the most important thing in your life. I'm so proud to be your friend. You're a fighter for Texas, but more importantly, you're an amazing husband and a father. And I love you, my friend.
The chair recognizes Ms. Garcia Bear.
Representative Tinderholt, I just wanted to use this opportunity as a message for our body as well. I remember when I first came in here as a freshman last session, as a woman veteran, there aren't many of us that are here that are veterans, and just trying to figure out how to navigate a partisan world, because as military, we don't understand the separation when it comes to protecting and serving and defending our Constitution and our people. When I came here, you know, some things are synonymous with military. Those things could be, you know, Operation Just Cause, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, you name it. We can name those things off of the tip of our tongues because we're true Americans who believe in our mission. And one of those names that came off the tip of the tongue here in the legislature was a Tinderholt. Now, when I got here, I had no idea what a Tinderholt was. But folks warned me about the Tinderholt. He said, Josie, you are an activist, you are a protester. The Tinderholt, he will not like you. And I believed it because my first week here, there was the Tinderholt. And he was running for speaker, and he was calling these things points of orders that I hadn't learned much about. But I was intrigued because he looked so stoic. That face that screams fear into the hearts of many legislators on this floor spoke military to me. When I saw his face, I saw a soldier. So I walked up to him one day, right over here, I remember, and I just went up to him and I said, "Hi, sir, I'm Josie." And he said, "Oh, hello," and he smiled. I was like, okay, there's step one, he can smile. Step two was, I said, I'm also military. My husband's a Purple Heart veteran, and I'm also a combat veteran. From that day, I take every opportunity that I can when people ask me, who is your favorite Republican? I tell people it is Tony Tinderholt. And the shock that is on people's faces and their hearts and their minds, but you all, I want you to know this, because we're Texans. Tony Tinderholt is a man who was a part of Operation Just Cause, a story that I read about in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And for those of you who are younger, the Encyclopedia Britannica is the websites on book form. This man has worked in almost every counterterrorism operation in the modern century. Now, when I tell you that we are losing a real American hero here today, I mean that. I'm so sad to see you go, but thank you for your service, Major Tinderholt.
The chair recognizes Ms. Jones of Harris.
So as a Democrat who is overwhelmed, there's 88 Republicans and there are 62 Democrats. And this is a very tough place. But the beautiful thing about America is we're entitled to our beliefs. And we have to respect that. And all of us here were elected by our constituents. Last session, Tony and I officed across from each other, and we never really spoke to each other that much, except that I know his wife's favorite color is pink and it's my favorite color too. But this session, I got the opportunity to meet Tony. And I learned very quickly as a Democrat that I better find some Republican friends, otherwise none of my stuff was going to get passed. And I also found out that Tony has a group of Republicans who follow him religiously. And so if I wanted to try to get the votes I needed to get to pass any of my bills, presuming all 62 Democrats voted for it, which isn't always the case, that I better go talk to Tony. So on HB 413, I was talking to the Republicans I knew, like, hey, where are you guys on this? And they were like, well, Tony's against it, and whatever he says, I'm doing. And I won't tell who that person is, so you better go talk to Tony. And what I learned about Tony that I think a lot of us could learn from is that he can be in a position, but if you talk to him and you give him facts and figures, he literally will, he's not going to answer you quickly, so you can't bully him. And he'll tell you he's going to think about it and come back to him, and that's what you better do. You better not try to harass him, because that is never going to work. And then you come back when he tells you to come back. And if he is for you, he will be for you. He will change his position, which is exactly what he did. And I know the people that follow him listen to him immediately. He's got a system set up that somebody needs to duplicate, because imitation is the highest form of flattery. Because when he decided that he was going to switch his position on HB 413, which is the you've already served your time bill, he literally sent out a bat wave or something. And by the time I walked back to my desk, the people who believe in him and who follow him were like, okay, Tony changed his mind, we're with you. And not only did he do that, because sometimes it's hard in this place, especially if it's my understanding that with Republicans, the scorecard is really important, and you might not even vote for good bills if you think it's going to lower your scorecard score. But Tony is courageous. He doesn't care. And he said, you know what I'm going to do? A lot of people don't understand your bill. I'm going to go to the back mic. And so I know that people thought hell froze over when Tinderholt, and he was paying attention. I didn't have to go tell him. He charged to the back, like I guess soldiers do, And he was like, I'm going to just cut to the chase and I'm going to save you some time. And he explained HB 413, which is now sitting on the governor's desk. And so I just want to thank Tony, because that is actually criminal justice reform. Senator Huffman carried it on the other side. And so I respect the kind of Republican that Tony is. We don't agree on everything. In fact, most times we don't agree with each other. But in this place, we've got to figure out a way to find common ground, whatever that common ground is. It may not be a lot, but that's what's going to be best for Texas. So I will miss you, Tony. And now I've just got to figure out who's got influence like you do moving forward. I mean, if I stay here. So anyway, thank you. I'm really glad to know you.
The chair recognizes Ms. Morales-Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. Tony, you've made a hard decision today, but I know that it's one that you've thought out and that you feel good and it sits in your heart right. I know that because 5 years ago, when I was a new member, I went down my hall to meet my hall neighbors, and I was fortunate that you were there with your children and your wife, and we had a good conversation. And I'm glad that we had that conversation that day, because ever since then, I've known that if Tony got up to the mic, front or back, that he has researched, he has thought out, and he has come to a good conclusion about what he's talking about. And therefore, I could always rely on the words that came out of his mouth to be worth considering strongly. You have brought integrity, responsibility, and just thoughtful consideration to this body. And you have been, thank you for making it easy to work with you. And you have made the Texas House a better place because of your presence. And I just want to thank you, and thank you for being a friend.
Chair recognizes Mr. Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I just wanted to say thank you, Tony Tinderholt. Right there. Right here. Give Mrs. Tinderholt a round of applause, please. Let me get right to the point. The state of Texas and the Texas House is better because Tony Tinderholt served in this chamber. And Tony, in front of all these people, I want to say thank you for your contribution to the state of Texas. I've been proud to serve her people alongside you, and I regret that we will not be able to do so in the same capacity moving forward. Thank you, my friend.
Mr. Dutton, for what purpose?
I wanted to talk to Tony Tinderholt.
Chair recognizes Mr. Tinderholt.
I'll yield for questions.
Gentleman
I
yields
was
for
gonna
questions.
talk-
Gentleman yields.
I was going to talk about you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We go grab the
I just want all the members to know that all of us come from different backgrounds. And so it's not a matter of where we are when we come. It's a matter of whether or not we grow. And I will tell you that I watched Tony Tinderholt when he came to this legislature, and now that he's leaving, I think there's a message for all of us, and that is we should continue to grow. Grow in our jobs, grow in our perspectives, and I've watched you do that, Tony. And I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of all the legislators here, because I'm number 3 in seniority, and I've never seen a legislator grow as much as Tony Tinderholt. And so with that, let me congratulate you. Let me thank you for setting the pace for all of us here so that we can somehow or another manage to do better for Texas. And I think you've done that. And my hat's off to you. Congratulations to you and your family. And I'll look forward to the next Tony Tinderholt.
Well, before you leave, I told him I'd keep it short, but I was going to mention you in my speech, and we were trying to keep it shorter. I want to share something really brief. This session, I wanted to teach these freshmen to not make some of the same mistakes I made early. But you may not remember this. You were going to be in the speech. In my first point of order I ever did, you sat right next to me across the aisle.
Right.
And you saw me digging for the point of order, and you told me it was chapter 4, and you eventually even told me what page.
Right.
And I leaned over to you and I said, why are you doing this for me? When you're actually, this is a point of order against stuff that you're supporting. And you told me, we're colleagues, and I want you to look smart when you go up there, and I beat you. Now, there's but there's a lesson in that, right? The lesson is you saw Democrats come up, you saw Republicans, and the lesson is we are colleagues and we are family, and we're going to fight and we're going to argue, and then we're going to go in the members lounge and we're going to make up and we're going to come out and maybe argue or be together. But that was one of the very first lessons I learned was from you. You taught me how to fight against you. It was a bill that you were going to be up front for that I was calling a point of order, and you taught me and showed me, and you made me look on the right page, and you didn't want me to look silly.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Tony. I just wanted you to grow to be the Tony Tinderholt you are.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Tony.
you.
Thank you for your service.
Here it is. Love and respect to everybody. Thank you so much.